First contact. The sky above Epsilon Tauri 4 turned from azure to crimson as the alien ships entered the atmosphere. Commander Maya Chen watched from the observation deck of the mining colony's central hub, her breath fogging the reinforced glass. After 15 years in Earth's Space Defense Force, she thought she'd seen everything. She was wrong. Are those? Operations Manager Thomas Reeves couldn't finish his sentence. Ships. Maya confirmed, her voice steady despite the adrenaline flooding her system. Not ours. The colony's alert system wailed to life, its shrill cry echoing through every module of the settlement. Epsilon Tauri 4 was humanity's farthest outpost, a titanium mining operation that had grown into a modest colony of 3,000 souls. It was supposed to be peaceful here, isolated from the political tensions back home. Now 7 vessels of unknown origin descended through the clouds, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent sheen that reminded Maya of beetle shells. Sound General Quarters, Maya ordered, already moving toward the security station. Get everyone to shelter. Now. Thomas nodded, his face pale as he activated the colony-wide communication system. Attention all personnel. This is not a drill. Unknown vessels approaching. Proceed to designated shelters immediately. Maya quickened her pace, her mind racing through scenarios. The colony had a security force of just 25 people, armed with standard-issue pulse rifles and a handful of light artillery pieces meant for deterring claim jumpers, not repelling an invasion. By the time she reached the armory, her second-in-command, Lieutenant Kai Fujimoto, had already started distributing weapons. What are we looking at, Commander? Kai asked, sliding a pulse rifle across the table to her. First contact scenario, Maya replied, checking the rifle's charge. And they didn't call ahead for reservations. Hostile. Unknown, but they're making one hell of an entrance. Maya activated her comm. All security personnel, defensive positions, non-lethal protocols until otherwise directed. The ground shook as the first alien vessel landed 3 kilometers from the colony's perimeter. It was massive, at least 5 times larger than Earth's biggest interstellar craft. The ship's design defied human aesthetic, angular in places, curved in others, with structures that seemed to serve no aerodynamic purpose. Commander, you need to see this, came the voice of Eliza Okonkwo, the colony's chief engineer. I'm sending the feed to your tablet. Maya glanced down at the screen. Eliza had patched in a feed from one of the perimeter drones. The alien ship had opened, disgorging hundreds of figures. They moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost insectile, their bodies encased in exoskeletons that might have been armor or might have been their actual bodies. Christ, Kai whispered, looking over her shoulder. Get me a direct line to Earth, Maya ordered. Priority Alpha. Already tried, Eliza responded. Communications are being jammed. We're cut off. Maya felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. Earth was 22 light-years away. Even if they could get a message out, help would take months to arrive. Then we stand alone, she said softly, before straightening her shoulders. All right, let's show these visitors what humans are made of. Defensive perimeter, non-lethal response unless fired upon. I want a delegation ready to attempt communication. The security team moved with practiced efficiency, taking positions along the colony's outer wall. Maya joined them, her rifle ready but pointed downward. Beside her, Kai fidgeted nervously. You think they're here to make friends? He asked. I think assuming anything would be a mistake, Maya replied. Stay sharp. The aliens approached with methodical precision, spreading out in a formation that Maya recognized as tactically sound, minimizing casualties from potential artillery strikes while maximizing their own firing coverage. These weren't random explorers. This was a military force. When they reached 500 meters from the colony walls, they stopped. A single figure emerged from their ranks, taller than the others, its exoskeleton adorned with what appeared to be ceremonial markings. I think that's their commander, Maya said. As if in response, A beam of light shot from the alien leader's position, striking the ground between them. The soil sizzled and melted into glass. A warning shot. Then, a voice boomed across the distance, transmitted somehow directly into their communication systems. The words were in perfect English, but delivered with a clicking, multi-toned inflection that made Maya's skin crawl. Humans of Epsilon Tauri, I am Supreme Commander Vexthol of the Voidraken Imperium. Your presence in this system is a violation of our territorial claim. You have 2 standard rotations to surrender this colony and prepare for evacuation. Resistance will result in your eradication. Maya exchanged glances with Kai. Friendly, she muttered sarcastically. What do we do? Kai asked, his knuckles white around his rifle. Maya studied the alien force. Hundreds of warriors, advanced technology, and 7 ships that could likely reduce the colony to ash from orbit, against 25 security personnel and a few thousand miners and their families. We buy time, she decided. Thomas, I need to address the colony. Moments later, she stood in the command center, facing a camera that broadcast to every screen in the settlement. Citizens of Epsilon Tauri 4, she began, her voice steady. As you're aware, we've made first contact with an alien species calling themselves the Voidraken Imperium. They've issued an evacuation order, claiming territorial rights to this system. She paused, knowing her next words would shape the colony's fate. We have limited options. Our communications with Earth are jammed, and we are significantly outgunned. However, I want to make one thing clear. This is our home. We built it from nothing, and we will not abandon it without exhausting every possible alternative. Maya leaned closer to the camera, her expression resolute. I am initiating Protocol Omega. All non-essential personnel will evacuate to the emergency bunkers beneath the titanium mines. Security forces will maintain a defensive posture while our diplomatic team attempts negotiations. If communications can be established with Earth, we will do so at the first opportunity. She straightened, her gaze unwavering. The history of humanity is filled with moments like this, when we faced overwhelming odds and refused to yield. From the ancient battles of Thermopylae and Agincourt to the Martian Rebellion, we have proven time and again that determination can overcome superior numbers and technology. Today, we add our chapter to that history. After ending the broadcast, Maya gathered her senior staff. Thomas, Kai, Eliza, and Dr. Sarah Lindholm, the colony's chief medical officer. Realistic assessment, Maya said. What are our chances? Militarily, virtually 0, Kai replied bluntly. They could bombard us from orbit if they wanted to. Then why haven't they? Eliza asked. Why give us 2 days? Resources, Thomas suggested. They want our titanium mines intact. Or they want something else, Dr. Lindholm interjected. Something they think we have. Maya nodded, which gives us leverage. Kai, I want inventory of every weapon and potential weapon in this colony. Eliza, see if you can bypass their jamming technology, or at least set up some form of early warning system. Thomas, organize evacuation to the bunkers. Dr. Lindholm, prepare for casualties. As they dispersed to their tasks, Maya returned to the observation deck. The alien ships loomed in the distance, their very presence a threat. She had faced pirates and rogue miners, but nothing like this. Still, something about the Voidraken's approach nagged at her military instincts. They're being cautious, she murmured to herself. Why? The answer came 3 hours later, as she reviewed historical records of Earth's military conflicts, searching for parallels that might guide her strategy. Eliza burst into her office, breathless with excitement. Commander, I've broken through the jamming, partially. I can't establish a direct link to Earth, but I intercepted transmissions between their ships. You can understand them? Maya asked, surprised. They're using a standard encryption algorithm, believe it or not. Might be they've encountered human tech before. The translation is rough, but Eliza handed over her tablet. Maya read quickly, her eyes widening. They're afraid of us. Not just us, Eliza corrected. Humanity. Apparently, they've studied our history, our wars. They call us the savage species and have specific protocols for dealing with human colonies. A slow smile spread across Maya's face. They'd done their homework. Good. Good. They're calling us savages. No, Maya said, standing up. They're calling us dangerous. And they're right. Humanity survived countless wars, environmental disasters, and interplanetary conflicts. We endured because we're adaptable, creative, and when backed into a corner, utterly ruthless. She strode to the window, looking out at the alien ships with new understanding. The Voidraken Imperium has conquered dozens of worlds, according to these transmissions, but they've never faced humans before. They're following a cautious approach because they don't know what we're capable of. Maya turned back to Eliza, her eyes gleaming with determination. And that's exactly what we're going to show them. The resistance begins. Dominic Reed had been enjoying his retirement on Earth's Pacific Northwest coast when the military transport landed on his private beach. He'd been out of the Special Orbital Forces for 5 years, trading his combat armor for fishing gear and the constant vigilance of war for the peaceful rhythm of ocean tides. The sound of engines shattered that peace. Admiral Helena Wagner stepped out of the transport, her uniform pristine despite the sand whipping around her. Dominic had served under her during the Jovian conflict, respected her, but never expected to see her again. Didn't think personal visits were part of an admiral's duties, Dominic said, not bothering to salute. They aren't, Wagner replied, her expression grim. But this isn't official. Not yet. Inside his cabin, Wagner activated the secure holographic display. The image showed a distant star system, Epsilon Tauri, and a collection of alien ships surrounding the human mining colony. First contact, Dominic asked, studying the unfamiliar vessel designs. Second, Wagner corrected. We encountered them 6 months ago at the edge of the Antares sector. It didn't go well. The display shifted to footage of a research vessel, the UES Darwin, exchanging fire with 2 ships of similar design to those at Epsilon Tauri. The Darwin was torn apart in seconds. The Voidraken Imperium, Wagner continued, a species that's apparently been conquering their way across the galaxy for centuries. They've subjugated dozens of worlds and see us as the next target. Dominic ran a hand through his salt and pepper hair. And you're telling me this why? Because 3 days ago, we lost contact with Epsilon Tauri. Long-range scans show those ships in orbit. By the time our fleet arrives, it could be too late. I'm still not seeing where I fit in, Dominic said, though he was beginning to. Wagner leaned forward. We need someone to get there ahead of the fleet. Someone who can organize resistance, gather intelligence, give our people a fighting chance. Someone with your particular skill set. Dominic laughed, though there was no humor in it. You want me to take on an alien invasion force. With what? My fishing rod. With this, Wagner tapped her display again, showing a sleek black ship unlike any Dominic had seen before. The Wraith. Prototype stealth vessel, fastest engine we've ever built. Small enough to slip past their defenses, armed enough to make a difference. And a crew. 6 volunteers, all former SOF, all specialists. Dominic stared at the image for a long moment. He promised himself he was done with war, done with watching good people die under his command. But 3,000 colonists, fighting for their lives against an enemy they couldn't possibly understand. When do we leave? Meanwhile, on Epsilon Tauri 4, Maya Chen had transformed the mining colony into a fortress. The 2-day ultimatum from the Voidraken had expired hours ago, but instead of immediately attacking, the aliens seemed to be reassessing. They're scanning us, Eliza reported from her makeshift command post in the titanium mines, trying to get a read on our defenses. Let's give them something to think about, Maya replied. She turned to Kai. Activate the decoys. Across the colony perimeter, holographic projectors flickered to life, creating the illusion of heavy artillery pieces and defensive turrets. The technology, designed for entertainment in the colony's recreation center, had been repurposed by Eliza's engineering team. Heat signatures activated, Kai confirmed. They'll read as powered weapons if they're using thermal imaging. Maya nodded, satisfied. It wouldn't fool them for long, but it might make them hesitate, and hesitation was all she needed. The real work was happening underground. The titanium mines beneath the colony stretched for kilometers, a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers that the colonists knew intimately, and the aliens didn't even know existed. Maya had divided the civilians into teams, each with specific responsibilities. Some manufactured improvised explosives from mining charges. Others converted mining equipment into makeshift weapons. The rest prepared the deeper tunnels as living quarters and emergency evacuation routes. "Commander," Thomas called from his station. "Movement at the perimeter." The display showed a small contingent of Voidraken approaching the colony's main gate. Unlike before, they weren't in attack formation. This looked more like a delegation. "They want to talk," Maya observed. "Or they're assessing our defenses up close," Kai countered. "Either way, it's an opportunity." Maya checked her sidearm. "I'll meet them. Kai, Eliza with me. Thomas, you have command here." At the colony gate, Maya stood with her small team, watching the Voidraken approach. The alien in the lead was the same one who had issued the ultimatum. Supreme Commander Vexthul, if she recalled correctly. Up close, the Voidraken were even more alien than they appeared from a distance. Their exoskeletons weren't armored, but their actual bodies, a metallic-looking carapace that shifted colors slightly as they moved. They had 4 arms, each ending in 3-fingered hands, and their heads were dominated by compound eyes that reminded Maya of Earth's praying mantises. "Commander Chen," Vexthul greeted her, his multi-toned voice somehow both melodic and grating. "Your deadline has expired, yet you remain." "This is our home," Maya replied simply. "We built it, we mined it, we made it livable. We're not leaving." "Your species' obstinance is documented in our records," Vexthul said, his head tilting in what might have been amusement. "As is your tendency to overestimate your capabilities. You cannot win this conflict." "Then why not just destroy us from orbit?" Maya challenged. "Why the deadline? Why this conversation?" The alien's compound eyes shimmered with an inner light. "Resources, efficiency. The Imperium does not waste what can be harvested. This colony has value. The minerals you extract have value. Even your people have value, as labor, if not as equals." Maya fought to keep her expression neutral despite the revulsion she felt. "Slavery, then. That's your offer?" "Service to the Imperium," Vexthul corrected. "Many species find prosperity under our rule. Those who resist find only oblivion." "Humanity has faced oblivion before," Maya said, her voice hard. "We're still here." "Not for long," the alien commander replied. "I offer one final opportunity. Surrender, and your people will live to serve. Resist, and they will not live at all." Maya stepped forward, closing the distance between them slightly. She knew the Voidraken could kill her instantly, but something told her they wouldn't. Not yet. "Let me tell you something about humanity, Commander Vexthul. Throughout our history, we've faced enemies who thought as you do, who believed that superior numbers or technology or resources guaranteed victory. They were wrong." She gestured to the colony behind her. "These are not warriors you're threatening. They're miners, engineers, doctors, teachers, ordinary people. But push ordinary humans into a corner, threaten what they love, and you'll discover what our enemies have learned time and again. There is nothing more dangerous in the known universe than humans fighting for their home." Vexthul remained still for a long moment, his alien features unreadable. "Your species' propensity for self-delusion is also documented," he finally said. "We will commence our assault at dawn. I suggest you spend your final hours in whatever manner your primitive beliefs dictate. As the aliens retreated, Kai exhaled sharply. Well, that went about as expected. Actually, it went better than expected, Maya replied, watching the Voidrican delegation depart. They're being methodical, following protocols. That gives us predictability. And they're scared, Eliza added, surprising both of them. Did you notice how many guards Vexthul brought? 6 warriors for a simple conversation. That's not confidence. Maya nodded. Back to the command center. We have work to do. As darkness fell over the colony, the first phase of Maya's plan began. Small teams of colonists, led by security personnel, slipped out through hidden maintenance tunnels. Each carried improvised explosives crafted from mining charges and industrial chemicals. Their targets, the Voidrican landing zones where ground troops and equipment were staged. Kai led the largest team, moving through the shadowy foothills that surrounded the colony's northern perimeter. Through night vision goggles, he could see the alien encampment, dozens of their warriors in what appeared to be a rest cycle, their insectoid bodies unnaturally still. Remember, he whispered to his team, plant the charges and withdraw. No heroics, no direct engagement. The colonists moved with surprising stealth for people who spent their lives operating heavy machinery. Months of drills and emergency protocols had instilled basic tactical discipline, and fear provided the edge they needed. At the alien perimeter, they encountered their first obstacle, floating sensor orbs that emitted soft pulses of energy. Eliza had warned them about these, proximity detectors that would trigger alarms if anything larger than a small animal passed nearby. Kai signaled a halt, then pointed to Zora, a young environmental engineer with steady hands. She removed a small device from her pack, a frequency disruptor built from salvaged drone parts. When activated, it would create a brief window through the sensor grid. 10 seconds, she mouthed silently, activating the device. The team rushed forward, reaching the aliens' equipment depot. Sleek, arthropod-like vehicles stood in neat rows, alongside crates of what appeared to be weapons and supplies. Kai directed the placement of explosives, ensuring maximum damage with minimal charges. Then, from the darkness, came a sound. The distinctive click hiss of a Voidrican warrior, a sentry, moving between the vehicles on patrol. Kai froze, signaling the others to do the same. The alien moved methodically, its compound eyes sweeping the area. For a heart-stopping moment, it looked directly at their position, and Kai was certain they'd been spotted. Then, inexplicably, it turned away, continuing its patrol. Blind spot, Zara whispered almost inaudibly when the alien was out of earshot. They can't see directly behind them. Kai filed that information away, a potential weakness to exploit. The team finished placing their charges and began their withdrawal, this time moving even more cautiously. Back at the command center, Maya received reports from all teams. Explosives placed. No casualties. No detections. Now came the waiting. All units in position, Thomas confirmed, studying the tactical display. We can trigger the charges on your order. Maya checked the time. 3 hours until dawn, when the Voidrican had promised to begin their assault. We strike first, she decided, 90 minutes from now, when their biorhythms should be at their lowest ebb. Dr. Lindholm, who had been analyzing the biological data they'd gathered on the aliens, nodded in agreement. Based on their behavior patterns, that's our best window. They seem to enter a semi-dormant state during the coldest part of the night. What about their ships? Eliza asked. Once we hit their ground forces, they could simply bombard us from orbit. That's where your jamming tech comes in, Maya replied. Modified to transmit on their command frequencies. Not enough to block communications entirely, but enough to create confusion, delay responses. The plan was far from perfect. They were vastly outgunned, facing an enemy with superior technology and numbers. But they had surprise, determination, and the home field advantage of knowing every centimeter of the colony and surrounding terrain. As the minutes ticked by, Maya moved among the colonists who had volunteered for the resistance. Miners with explosive expertise, engineers who had converted industrial equipment into weapons, medical staff prepared for casualties, even children running messages through the tunnel system when digital communications might be monitored. Whatever happens, she told them, remember that we fight not just for ourselves, but for Earth. The Voidrican need to learn that humans don't surrender. Not ever. When the moment came, Maya gave a single command: initiate. Across the Voidrican encampments, explosions bloomed in the pre-dawn darkness. Secondary detonations followed as alien power sources and weapons caches were caught in the blasts. Confusion spread through the enemy ranks, just as Eliza's jamming technology scrambled their communications. Phase 2 began immediately. Mining drones, reprogrammed by Eliza's team, swarmed from hidden launchers, bombarding the disoriented aliens with industrial lasers meant for cutting rock, but now slicing through exoskeletons. And in the chaos, small strike teams emerged from concealed tunnels, targeting isolated groups of Voidrican warriors with improvised weapons and hit-and-run tactics. From her command center, Maya watched the tactical display, directing forces like a conductor leading an orchestra of destruction. The Voidrican responded with growing coordination despite the jamming, bringing heavier weapons to bear, but always a step behind, reacting rather than leading. Multiple hostiles approaching the North Tunnel entrance, Thomas reported. Security team engaging. Alien ships powering weapons, another colonist called out. Energy signatures increasing. Maya had expected this. Eliza, activate countermeasures. Throughout the colony and surrounding hills, holographic projectors activated, creating dozens of false colonies, perfect replicas that would confuse orbital targeting. Meanwhile, the real colonists were mostly underground, protected by hundreds of meters of rock and metal. It won't fool them for long, Eliza warned. It doesn't need to, Maya replied, checking the time. Just long enough. On her private channel, a transmission crackled through. Weak, distorted, but unmistakable. Epsilon Tauri 4, this is Captain Dominic Reed aboard the Wraith. Support package inbound. Hold position and prepare to receive. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Help had arrived sooner than expected. The resistance had only just begun, but already they had accomplished the impossible. They had survived. And more importantly, they had proven that humanity would not be conquered easily. The Voidrican Imperium was about to learn a painful lesson about underestimating humans.